Thank you. Thank you. I know I was just sitting up playing around and I was like, I want to do something different than what I've been doing and everybody else is doing. And that came to me to do something different than what I've been doing and everybody else. All righty then. So it's letting me know, hey, we're here and we're ready to go. So
Great.
I really want to welcome everybody to Porch Talk Live Worldwide. And as you know, on this platform, everything is a go. Okay, there's no holds bar, as they say. We talk about everything, and I love it. So in the comments section, please let's give our special guest, Angela, some love by commenting. Whether you're watching this now or you come back in and you watch it later, okay? Just give her some comments. Let her know that you are watching, okay? And then one other thing, I never say this, but let's start to share this, okay? Because this is going to be something very good. We even talked about this as far as sisterhood and girlfriends are concerned. We've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks, and I am excited to actually talk to Angela about it. So we're going to be talking about people pleasing. Oh my God, that is a great subject. Okay. So first of all, I forgot to, there we go. That is
Mhm.
what I need. Okay. It's on Facebook, but I need it for Zoom as well. So let's welcome Angela to Porch Talk Live Worldwide. And I give you a I'm
Hello,
glad
hello.
you're here. Okay.
Thank you for having me. Super excited to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me kind of share with you guys a little bit about her. Now, Angela is her name is Angela D. Paola.
Paula.
Paula.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
So she is at MSW. I think that's a nurse practitioner, right?
Master social work.
Master social work. I got it all wrong, you guys. Okay. She is a respected mental health therapist and author of That's Life, or Is It? A Woman's Guide to Discovering Lasting Happiness and Fulfillment. She excels in addressing critical topics through her speaking engagements, such as overcoming the traps of people pleasing, effectively managing anxiety, building confidence both in the workplace and her person and in your personal life. Angela talks, they're rich and they're practical insights that draw from her extensive experience as a therapist and mindset coach, providing audiences with valuable tools to navigate their emotional landscapes. Her ability to connect with people through relatable content has made her a sought after speaker, offering transformative perspective on achieving mental well being and self empowerment. And we all need empowerment for sure. Okay. Let me put these glasses on so I can really, really see good. Okay. So, Angela, gotta tell us why you got into this particular area
Of people pleasing,
of
especially.
people pleasing.
Absolutely. So, I consider myself a people pleasing addict. Hello, my name is Angela, and I am a people pleasing addict. In recovery now, I'd say about 2 years ish, maybe a little bit more. I was the type of person that would just put everybody and everything ahead of myself, whether it was my family, my friends, my partner at the time, and especially my work. Like my work, I'd put all my energy. At the time, I was working at the hospital as a social worker. And don't get me wrong, it was important work. We
Yes.
needed our help. It's just I overextended, and to the point actually where I was really just ignoring my health, which was failing. It wasn't doing so well, and I was just, I'm just stressed. It's fine, and it wasn't actually. One day, I'd say, I think it was 2006, 2007. It was a cold winter day, not unlike today. I'm in Montreal. We just had a snowstorm. And I was sitting in front of a doctor. He just examined me because I had been not feeling well, and he touched my throat and very nonchalantly. It was actually a little disturbing how nonchalantly he's like, "Huh, you have like about a golf-sized tumor in it. I think it's in your thyroid, and it's probably cancer." And I was like,
Oh, no.
"Huh, well." That's unexpected. And so, multiple biopsies and a surgery later. And it turns out he was right. It was cancer. Thankfully, thankfully, it was very treatable. Thankfully, I'm okay. And you would think that that would have been enough, right? You would think that'd be like, okay, that's it. I'm over the people pleasing. I got to start taking care of myself. I, Angela, have learned an almighty lesson. But that's not how people pleasing works, unfortunately.
No.
So I went right back into my terrible habits. And, fast forward 10, 12 years later, and I'm just on the verge of yet another burnout. I'm exhausted. I'm just like, life is just not enjoyable. That optimism, that joie de vivre, it's not there. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I can't, this is not a life worth living. On paper, I have everything I want, a loving partner, family, friends, a good job, but inside I was just empty and resentful and just not doing so well. So I figured, something has to change, and that change has to come from within and God
Yeah.
and prayer. And that's when I started making changes. I connected spiritually. I started taking time for me, which is really, really hard because that meant saying no sometimes. As a people pleasing addict, that's like the hardest thing. But it got easier. And the easier it got, the because it got easier because suddenly it was like, hey, you know what? In taking this time for myself, I can figure out who I am and what I want, and just heal and replenish. And in that time, I can actually now, when I want to be with people, I actually want to be with them. It's not just I'm forcing myself and just overextending myself. So the time with the people who really mattered actually became more precious and more intimate, and it was really like our relationships actually went stronger by saying no. Ironically, I actually developed stronger relationships with people, and then suddenly I just started doing all those things I wanted to do. Like, I wrote a book, I left my 9 to 5, I started my private practice, I started coaching, and now I love life. Like, I'm just, and not to say we don't have our ups and downs, of course. That's life isn't always going to be easy, but it's just, there's a strength that's like, hey, we can overcome and we can pursue and we can enjoy our lives. It's possible in spite of everything going on in the world. And learning that, I'm like, I want everybody to know that. I want everybody to know that they can live this beautiful, empowered, happy life, regardless of what's happening.
Yeah,
Regardless.
you know what? Not to stop you, but
Yeah.
I think the people pleasing for I'm gonna say for women right now is when we start to take care of our families. And it just continues on and on. And I think it just becomes such a habit with us that we actually forget about our own selves and what we need. And even when the time it presents itself that that's no longer the case, let's say that we're empty nesters,
Mhm.
the kids are gone, and we're still looking for someone to please, something to do for someone else. We still haven't set our sights on ourselves. And I'm not sure why that is. You would think that once the kids are out of the way, okay, and now you have time for yourself, you would put the time in to do some of the things that have been on the back burner, but we don't.
Yeah, and I think part of that is because it's with us for so long, that urge to people, it becomes a part of our identity. It's like, who am I if I'm not serving or people pleasing or making other people happy? And again, it's okay to want to care for other people. It's okay to want to be there and support your kids. It's a beautiful thing. And at the same time, you still have to take care of you and support yourself and give yourself the strength so that you could be the best mom or whomever, and recognize that you're not just those things. Yes, you're a mom, and it's a beautiful, amazing privilege, to be able to be there for your children and to raise them. And there's other parts of you. You're also your own person with your own dreams and your own desires. And those also need to be taken care of so that when the kids leave, that still remains. And also, it gives a good example to your children to be like, hey, you know what? Yes, being there, serving is important. It's, but to do it on your terms because you want to do it. And there's so much more to yourself than just that. And in fact, in honoring yourself, you become even more present and a better mother, friend, wife,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah. Not only that, I think when we decide that we're not going to be people pleasers anymore, and that's something that people are so used to us doing that we actually begin to, people begin to look at us differently. They begin to treat us differently, and now all of a sudden they no longer want to be bothered with us, because we're just not, it's not all about them anymore.
Yep.
Now it's all about our own self. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I think that's usually one of the biggest fears, right? It's like, oh, if I start saying no, people won't like me anymore. What you'll find is there's going to be resistance, right? If people are used to yes, 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 well,
Mhm.
suddenly you're saying no, and it's like, but that's not how the wheel turns. What are you? So they might resist more. Those who really care about you, those who love you and want to see you happy, they're going to respect it. And they're going to actually support and be like, yes, good, go take care of yourself, go do something for yourself. You may lose people. The people you're going to lose, though, are people who probably were the energy vampires, the people who, like you said, made it all about themselves. And maybe it's not such a bad thing that we do kind of get rid of those people to make more room for the people in our lives that actually also value and love us, and also make room for maybe other people to come in to our lives who could be there for us. It's painful. It's not easy. It's not necessarily a bad thing, though, despite the pain.
Yeah, and I found out that there are actually different type of people pleasers, okay?
Hmm.
And well, I'm just going to mention two. One is the one that is nurturing and that's always trying to help you to be better and do better and get you whatever it is you need. Then it's the one that is really controlling, has really terrible bad habits, okay? And sometimes the decisions that they've made as far as us is concerned, it becomes harmful to us, okay? And it's actually harmful to them because it changes their attitude, how they talk, how they act, the things that they do. They really, really want to control us. You got any thing about that?
Yeah, no, for sure. Could you give me like, do you have an example, something a little, because there's different types, so I just really want to make sure I'm speaking to.
Well, let's start here. What are a couple of red flags that we can look for in someone that is a people pleaser, but they're harmful?
Okay, so it's like I'm people pleasing, but not really. I'm just trying to control, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's when they don't listen. One of the things is when they're not hearing what you're saying, right? When they're
Mm.
saying, well, I know better without at least trying to understand your point of view. Look, there could be instances a parent knows better than a young child about certain things. Fair enough. But if you're basically on, equal ground and they're saying, I know better and I know more than you, and they're not listening to your point of view or trying to understand your point of view, that's a pretty big red flag. If they make decisions that involve you without your consent, it's a pretty big red flag. Um, and if you don't feel safe to express yourself and to say, hey, this doesn't feel right. I'm not okay with this, then there's a reason you don't feel safe. And maybe it's time to look at like, well, why is it so hard for me to speak up and to say something? And it's part of it could be your own self. it's still worth
Yeah.
reflecting on to like, why is it so hard and scary for me to say, no, I'm not okay with this.
Well, I think that, like I say, there's a little good in people pleasing in one area, and then there's the bad in another area. So we're going to talk about the good part of people pleasing. So a lot of times in being a people pleaser, we don't really know what it is someone else needs if we don't have communication. And sometimes we're let me see, how do I put this? We're doing our best to help someone, but we really don't know what kind of help they need if we're not talking it out. And I think that if in other words, let's say my son,
Mhm.
he comes over and he wants to help me out, and he wants to, Mom, I'm gonna help you clean the house. I'm gonna sweep. I'm gonna mop. I'm gonna do, now he's being a people pleaser. He's think he's helping me, but he's really not. Because a lot of times I know how I want things. I don't need you to put the dishes up. Don't do that. I'll put them up. I'll put them. No, Mom, you sit down. You just be cool. I'm gonna take care of all of this. You don't have to do anything, okay? And when they leave, I got to go back and redo all things all over again, okay? And strictly because we didn't have communication ahead of time. So I think people pleasing sometimes can be good and sometimes it can be bad. What do you think?
Yeah. So I'm going to actually argue that people pleasing solely to please the other person is mostly always not good. And I'll tell you why. There's a difference between like, hey, I genuinely want to do this and I genuinely want to be there for you. That's not people pleasing. That's a choice, right? It's like, I want to do this. And usually with that comes the communication. It's like, hey, how can I be there for you? How can I support you? What do you need? People pleasing comes from a place of anxiety where it's like, oh, I got to make the other person happy. And I'm just going to do whatever I think will make them happy. And I'm just going to like take action and at my detriment usually, because it's like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat. I want to just, make the other person happy and be okay. And sometimes at the other person's detriment, like you just said, because it's like you're not even communicating what the person needs. You're just kind of making that decision for them. So if it's coming from a place of solely like, I'm nervous, I got to make the other person happy, most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to go well. And even if it makes them happy, you're not going to feel good about it because, again, it's not coming from a place of, I genuinely want to do this. It's coming from a place of anxiety. And then there's a good chance you might end up feeling resentful, or you might be like, I give so much and they don't give back. And at the same time, you're not asking for it back, you're just expecting it back because you decided on your own you were going to please them and do all these things for them without really saying like, wait a second, did I even want to do this?
Well, if someone is a people pleaser, how can they actually just get started as far as backing off of that,
Right.
stopping that? I mean, is it a hard task to make that happen?
um it's hard in the sense that it requires you taking a step back. Often with people pleasing we say yes right away and then we're like, damn it, why did I say yes? I didn't want to say yes, I wanted to say no. So what it requires is for you to stop and actually think, wait, do I really want to do this? And the technique that I use that's actually quite really simple and it makes a world of a difference is whenever somebody asks you something, just say, let me get back to you. That's it. Just use those words. Let me get back to you. And
Yeah.
then suddenly it creates that space. And there suddenly you don't have to answer right away. And then you can actually think, wait, do I want to do this? Do I see value in doing this? Value beyond just people pleasing. Like, do I actually get something out of this? Or do I see like why this is important?
Oh, I can really relate to that. There are times that I think maybe I may be a people pleaser too, because I'm always volunteering for stuff, and I have to say, no, Dorothy, don't do that. Do that, okay? But it's just that when I see people and they need help, Okay, I just want to jump in and help. Okay. And then a lot of times when I get in, I'm like, man, this is more than I expected. But now I'm here. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. And you're right. Sometimes when yeah, I think you'll get to a point where if you're a people pleaser and you're always jumping in, you'll get to a point where you'll resent the people that you're
Of course.
helping, and that's not a good place to be.
No, no, resentment breeds I think resentment destroys so many relationships. It destroys yourself too, because it just turns you sort of into a victim, right? Into like, oh, the world is against me, nobody cares. And then resentful people hurt other people often. And they end up becoming that thing that they hated.
Yeah, wow, wow. So, do you think that if someone has someone in their life that is a people pleaser, that they should set some type of boundaries?
Mhm. Yes. I mean, I think it's like I'm a big fan of boundaries. I think pay attention to like, hey, do I feel off with this? Do I feel like something's being violated? And it can be the smallest thing. Like it doesn't have to be a bit. It's just like, I feel something's off. Pay attention to that and listen to like, okay, well, wait, what is it that I need? And with the people pleaser, just to be honest with them, to be like, hey, I noticed that you kind of jump on a lot of things before you say yes, like really think about it. And it's okay if you say no. Sometimes just giving someone permission to say no can do wonders.
Oh yeah, I do believe that. I do believe that. So, what is one thing that we can actually start to do? Let's talk about us as
Mm,
a people. If
yeah.
you're a people pleasing person, how do we get started?
Mhm.
Just one thing that will help us to kind of take a step back and realize that this is what we're doing and we need to change it.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, the first step is create that space so that you have the time to think about it. So the second somebody asks you to do something, yes, that urge of like, I wanted people, like I want to make them happy. Take a breath. Let me get back to you. Use those magical words and then give them a time. So that creates an obligation to actually get back to them. So, let me get back to you in an hour. Let me get back to you tomorrow. You
Oh,
can always create a time space.
wow. Okay.
And
All
then
right.
in that time, and here's the key, you can't just wait for the time to pass and then be like, okay, yes, actually, this is where the self-reflection comes in. And so there's three questions. Do I want to do this? And be honest with yourself. Like this is your space to really just tell yourself the truth. Do I want to do this? Yes or no? Yes. And if it's yes, own it. Be like, yeah, you know what? I want to do this. And do I have time to do this? Yes, amazing. Go ahead. But own it and say, like, I'm doing this because I want to do this, not because I'm people please, like, not to make the other person happy. I mean, that's a benefit, and I'm glad it'll make them happy. At the same time, I want to do it. And then the other piece, in addition to that, is if I don't want to do it, well, do I see value beyond just people pleasing? And if the answer to that is no, then you can say no. It's okay.
So how does someone figure out that this is actually who they are, that they are a people pleasing person, that
Yeah.
this is the title that they carry, even though oh no, that's not me. So how do they know that this is something that they do?
Yeah. Well, do you find yourself saying yes all the time and then regretting it later? Do you find that like you don't have any time and you're overwhelmed and you're exhausted? Do you find that maybe you're a little bit resentful towards the people in your life? Do you find that you don't have any time for yourself and you're just like, well, where is all the time going? I'm always at work and I'm doing overtime and I'm taking on all these extra projects, or I'm just always with my kids and with my partner. There's never, or my parents or whatever it is, and there's never any time for me.
Okay, so we've actually kind of talked on the consequences of being a people pleasing person. And one of the consequences to that is losing people
Mhm.
uh, because some people really just don't want you doing things for them. They want to do them themselves. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're also, if you know that you are somebody that's always saying yes and you just don't know how to say no, then I believe at that point they should seek some sort of help in
Yeah.
order to, um, to make themselves better. Okay.
To learn how to set those, look, unfortunately, it's not a skill we've learned, right? It's not something that's taught in school. So, in fact, often we learn, be a good person, help other people, which again, good lessons. It's just also help yourself. Jesus said, love your neighbor like you love yourself. But part of that is also loving yourself.
Mm,
Sometimes we forget that piece.
wow.
So I think that's what's to like we need to remember that. Like we are part of the equation as well. So it's okay. Like love other people, be there for other people by all means. Again, it's a beautiful thing to do and love yourself as well. And it can't be that they're over or you're over. It's equal. You love each other equally. You love yourself as you love other people.
Absolutely. I also think that people please we even in caregiving
Mm,
we tend to be people pleasers as well. Now, I think there's a little difference in being a caregiver and being a people pleaser in the same tone. I think that caregiving is something that's very unselfish.
yeah.
Okay. We're doing the same thing, but it's an unselfish act. But then I think that there is people pleasing that is a selfish act, okay? You just can't help yourself. You just got to. I gotta do this. I gotta do that, and it becomes to a point where you begin to violate other people's boundaries. You find that you get in the way. Okay. And we said that you actually lose friends or what have you, but you can lose family members as well. I think if you could be a people pleaser, even in maybe paying somebody else's bills and stuff, loaning
Mhm.
money out. And then when you look around, you find out, hey, you need money to pay your own bills because you've been so busy just giving to everybody else around you. And that is not a good place to be either.
No, no, not at all. And that's exactly it. When it's people pleasing, it's like almost ego driven. It's sort of become a part of your identity. And so, like you said, you can't help yourself. You just have to keep doing it. And the sad part actually is you end up losing who you really are because it's not about you anymore. It's always about the other person. And you lose family members, you lose yourself. And I think that's the most egregious thing is that you lose who you really are. And caregiving, and to go back to what you were saying about caregiving and people pleasing. See, with being a caregiver, it's you're looking out for the other person's best interest. There's communication. And part of being a good caregiver is sometimes saying no and is sometimes setting those boundaries or letting the person fall and just being there to help pick them up. Like people need to learn to make their own mistakes. And that's probably the hardest part of being a caregiver. Or saying, like, no, if you're caring for an elderly parent, part of it is like, you know what, you need to keep doing this on your own. I know it's hard, but we need to maintain those strengths. So I do need to step back and let you do this thing. And I'll step in the second you can't actually do it. But I need to let you grow and I need to or to maintain what you already have. That's
Yeah.
caregiving.
Yeah. And also, if you find yourself in a relationship where you're struggling,
Yeah.
okay, now we're going back to when people pleasing is not a good thing and you're
Mhm.
caught up with someone that that's who they are,
Mhm.
okay, and they're always trying to please you, and they're even gotten to a place where they're getting forceful
Mm.
what they want to do for you and how they want to do it. They don't want to take no from you. You can't tell them no, okay? You just have to let them do whatever it is that they'll do. I think we need to be able to recognize when it's beginning to get out of hand and
Yeah.
figure out what it is that we need to do to take a step back from that type of a relationship, okay?
Not healthy at
Because
all.
there can't be any peace in that. There can't be any peace in that, okay?
Because again, it's not about the person that's being helped. It's about the person who feels the compulsion to help, quote unquote. So it's not, it's sort of they're presenting who they think you want them to be. A, they're not even presenting who they really are. They're probably getting resentful. They're not getting their needs met, although they think they are and trying to please you. And so it just creates this. And then A, you're not getting what you actually want out of the relationship because they're not having that conversation with you and not allowing you to give to say like, hey, I don't need you to do this. I actually enjoy doing this thing. Why are you taking that away from me? So they're
Yeah.
not giving you that space to really negotiate as a team, as a couple. It's not healthy. It's codependent kind of dynamic, which generally, if I don't think I've ever seen that type of relationship end happily or last rather.
Yeah, and I think people, somebody that's on the wrong side of people pleasing, can we know they can get really aggressive with you, but we have to not I would say not just really jump in with a no, 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 but just think about what it is that you can do to kind of taper it down a little bit. Sometimes people are not in a place where they can actually say no. Okay. So I would say that you acknowledge what's going on.
Yes, no, awareness is number one. You have to bring awareness to the situation. Otherwise, you get stuck in the pattern and it just keeps going.
Absolutely. I believe that you can actually express what's
Mhm.
going on with you. Sometimes we have to think about what we're going to say
Yeah.
before we say it, okay? And be clear in the message that we're relaying to that person and be honest about it as well, okay?
Honest, even if the honesty is painful, even if it brings about awful consequences in being an argument or ending the relationship, that's still the best possible outcome because it's honest and at least you can deal with what's in front of you instead of holding it in and then growing more resentment and more anger. I'm a big fan of just being very honest every
Oh
time.
my God, yes, yes, yes. Because I'm always saying, and even when I'm talking to my children, I mean, they're my sons, they're adults, but I'm careful about what I say. I'm thinking before I say it, how is it going to sound? I was talking about emails, and have you ever got an email that
Mhm.
you felt was really nasty or aggressive? Nobody's talking, but you're reading it and it's in what they've sent, and it's just not a good feeling, okay, in the email. So when it comes to people pleasing, emails and the texts, that's not going to work. It's a face-to-face thing, okay? So I think people get nervous when it comes to confronting what's right there in front of them. But if you can just, like I said, think before you start talking, okay, you come up with the right things to say to them. Some relationships you don't want to sever because people are being of more help than they should be, but you want to be supportive to that person. So we have to watch the words that come out of our mouth. And like I say, we have to be honest about what we say to them as well.
And yeah, and to add to what you're saying, because I 100% agree with everything that you just said. And to add to it, sometimes writing is a good way to think, right? You can write out like, okay, what's going on? What happened? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling that way? And write it out. It's going to give you the clarity you need so that when you speak to the person, it's like, okay, this is what happened. This is how it made me feel. And this is why it made me feel that way. And I need you to know that. And here's what I need from you.
Hmm.
That's a lot more. People tend to be more receptive to that than you're always doing this and da, 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 and just like unloading on them and getting
Oh,
them sort of in a defensive position.
Yeah. So paint me a scenery
Hmm.
where I've got someone that's always helpful,
Hmm.
but I really don't want them to be helpful. I just want them to be my friend. Okay.
Mm.
Just, in other words, I invite you over for, let's say, afternoon tea. And when you get there, yeah, I really don't have anything set out. So I start to put out the teacups and things like that. And all of a sudden, you take over. Okay. You don't even give me a chance to finish putting things out. Oh, girl, you should have had this stuff out already. Let me get it out for you. You too slow.
Oh,
Ah, it happens sometimes.
yeah, I'm sure. I have my background is Italian. We love to. I've been on both ends of that, so I
Um,
understand.
uh,
Um, so in that scenario, right, what you can do is you can take a step back and ask yourself, and I'll ask you the questions, and maybe we can do it now in real time. So like, tell me exactly what happened, and you already started to do that.
all right.
And this
So,
is just objective, like you're painting me a picture of what happened.
yeah. So first of all, we've talked and we've agreed that we're going to meet at 12 o'clock. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right. Now, you don't arrive until 1 o'clock. Okay.
Okay. So the
Now,
person is an hour late. Yeah.
yeah, now you're late. Okay. So now I'm preparing
Hmm.
the table and putting everything out.
Yeah.
And you think, well, I might be a little off because you're an hour late. Okay. So I'm just taking my time in order not to say the wrong thing. And then you jump in. Okay. And
Fair
all
enough.
of a sudden you're taking over everything. Girl, you just slow,
Mhm.
move out the way. Let me get this done, and, they're a people pleaser, but I'm a people pleaser too. Okay.
So you
And
have dueling people pleasing coming out. Okay. So if we were to look at that picture, right? Okay. So there's two things to address. So it's one, the person came late, and two, they started taking over and making comments like you're too slow. All right. Next question to ask yourself. So that's the objective, what happened? How does it make you feel when that happened? Like when they're late, and how does it make you feel when when they start taking over and making those comments?
not good. I want to blow up.
So angry. So it makes you angry?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And on 10, like if we had, and I always tell people rate it on 10 because that's going to make it more clear to you, right? So
It's a 9. It's
9
almost
on 10 anger. Wow. Okay. So it's like, oof, this is like, okay.
yes, yes, yes.
Are there any other feelings that it brings out in you? So there's anger.
Um, uh, uh, um, yeah. Why am I even being bothered with them? Period. They always do this. They always do this, and I
So
don't like it.
okay, so what you're doing now is the third part, right? It's what you're telling yourself about the situation. So it's like it makes so when they come an hour late and then they start taking over, I feel 9 on 10 angry because to me, they're always doing it. And what does it mean to you that they're doing it? Like, why do you think they're doing it?
Um, they're just somebody that just loves to be in charge. Um,
So you
I
think it's them taking over something that you should like that you want to be doing and you want to be in charge of and you want to like you're hosting it. It's like I'm the host, not you.
Yeah, they don't have any boundaries at all. Okay. In other words, it's like I got a line draw, don't
Mhm.
cross this line, but they always do. Even when I say no, they still cross over.
And so what would you need them to do? And that's the fourth question to ask. This is what I need.
I need them to, first of all, just relax.
Mhm. Yeah.
Come in, apologize for being late. You don't have to give me an explanation, but at
An
least
acknowledgement.
acknowledge, yeah, acknowledge that this is what you've done. Then instead of taking over, ask me if I need help with something, you know.
Okay. So now I'm going to role play you having that conversation with your friend. And you tell me how you think that'll go.
Okay.
So I'm gonna name your friend Mary. I don't know what her name is, but we'll call her Mary. So it's like,
Okay.
hey Mary, listen, I want to talk to you about something. The other day, when you came an hour late and then you started taking over, I'll be honest, I felt kind of angry. I felt really angry and hurt because and a little disrespected because to me it was like, A, you didn't even acknowledge that you were late and I was there waiting for you. And B, you didn't like, you started taking over. And I took it to mean that, you didn't really care about the fact that, hey, I wanted to host and I wanted to just enjoy time with you. So, what I need from you now is I need you to, A, if you're going to be late, either let me know and at least acknowledge it. Just be say, like, hey, I'm sorry I'm late. I don't even need an explanation. I just need you to acknowledge it. And number two, like, ask me how I could. If you want to help, cool, great. But at least just ask me how you can help. I would really appreciate that. How do you think she would take that?
Um, she would probably be offended.
Mm, sure. Mm.
She would probably be offended, but um, you know what? Me, I'm always afraid of hurting somebody else's feelings, even when they've hurt my feelings. Okay, I really just don't want to hurt their feelings.
And your feelings matter too. And you didn't say anything cruel. You didn't attack her. You didn't accuse her. You were just saying, this is how I feel and this is what I need. And you're allowed to say that. And if
Yeah.
that hurts, well, that's her. I think that's something she needs to deal with.
I don't know why we feel that we don't what's going on with us, it takes a back seat and it's not as important as what's going on with the other person. So even when we know we're right,
Mm,
okay, we tend to take a step back, trying
yeah.
to please someone else and hurting all at the same time, you
So
know?
this is where I'm going to bring what Jesus said
Oh,
back.
okay.
Love your neighbor as you love yourself. And part of loving that is loving yourself enough to be honest with your neighbor, your friend. And in fact, not only that, you're actually helping your friend because you're pointing out a flaw, right? And you're giving her the because we all have blind spots. We don't always realize what we're doing. You're giving your friend the opportunity to recognize, like, hey, there's something you have to work on. Whether she does or not is up to her. But as a good friend, wouldn't you want somebody to point, like, even if you might not love hearing it, wouldn't you want someone to point something out to you to
Yeah,
better you? Well,
yeah, yes, absolutely.
it's the same kind of idea.
Okay. So let's say that I've got a few tips,
Mhm.
and I want you to tell me if I'm on target with this or
Okay,
no.
bring them.
All right. So, first of all, I want to set healthy boundaries. I want to prioritize my needs first. Okay. I want to be able to say no instead of always saying yes, but only when it's necessary. I want to practice self-compassion, self-care,
Yes, that's
and
huge.
taking care of myself. And in starting this process, it doesn't have to be big. It can just be really small steps just to get me
I would actually say start small. Like that's how
started.
you grow. Is start with the
Okay.
most basic step, even if it's like, oh wow, this is so easy. Yes, do the easy thing, and then make it a
Uh,
little bit harder and a little bit harder.
and I don't want to always be apologizing when I'm not the one that's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of that is setting a rule for yourself and to say, I will only apologize if I actually did something wrong. And so the urge, and I'm Canadian, we're all about apologizing all the time.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, But the rule, you can act like if you feel the urge, just be like, wait, did I actually do something wrong? And if the answer is no, don't apologize. And
So,
it'll be weird, it'll feel strange.
uh-huh.
That'll pass.
Okay. So how do I become comfortable in doing all of these things? What can I do? What can I start to do?
Yeah. So okay, good news, bad news. Bad news is it's never going to be completely comfortable because you're going outside of your pattern. You're stepping outside of your comfort zone. So it's going to be uncomfortable. Like I wish I could be like, poof, wait till it gets comfortable. It's only going to get comfortable the more you do it. So based on that, I'd say start with the smallest, simplest step. Like what would, I'll throw it back to you. Like what would be one small, really easy thing that you can do that it's like, okay, it's a bit uncomfortable, but I can do this. This step isn't so overwhelming.
Okay. So, all right. So to let everybody know, we've been talking about um, people pleasing,
Mhm.
okay? The dangers of uh, people pleasing, setting boundaries, what we need to do in order to not burn out our own selves, not be stressed out, okay? So Angela's is really been helpful in giving us some tips on some of the things that we need to do, okay? Because I know that if we don't take care of ourselves, okay, when it comes to this, it's something that we will suffer because of, okay?
Everybody around us, everybody we love that we want to help actually suffers too.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, if you are a people-pleasing person, this is a good topic for you to listen to a couple of times and get confident in what it is that you need to do in order to take a step back. Or if you even know someone that is a people pleaser, but they're harmful, this is also a good segment for you to listen to know what it is you need to do. So we've talked about how to stop it. We've talked about the boundaries. We talked about prioritizing your needs, what is necessary, what's not necessary. We've talked about
Communication.
practicing. What did you say, Angela?
Oh, communication. Just
Communication, that's the main thing. We talked about starting small. Don't try to take huge steps in this. And practice self-care. Be careful about over apologizing, okay, and then feeling bad after you've done it because you weren't the one that was in the wrong. And last of all, seek support if that's what you need. Now, one of the things that Angela shared with us was about writing your feelings and things down. And I am an advocate when it comes to having a journal and writing things down. A lot of times, by the time you get through writing whatever is going on with you down in your journal, you will have actually come up with the answer that you need. Okay. But it helps you to reflect on what it is you need to do. It helps you to actually move forward. In other words, and another thing is it'll allow you to be able to see this in other people.
mm,
So we're coming up on the hour. So Angela, I'm going to let you take it away and share how people can get in touch with you, and then secondly, any takeaways that you want to share.
yeah, sure. So, I mean, you'll see I'll be posting on the comment sections how you can get in touch with me. If I'll give you a link that has my social media, that has if you want to even just have a chat. I always love speaking to people. If you want to just continue this conversation one on one, I'd be happy to. And the takeaways really again is it all starts with awareness, right? It all starts with like, oof, something feels wrong. What's going on? And giving yourself the space to examine that and examine like, oh, does there need to be a boundary? Am I saying yes when I really want to be saying no? Are other people saying yes when I need them to like back off? And then reflecting, being honest, that was a really, really big one. Please, like honesty. It's so cliche to say, but it really is the best policy because at least then you can deal with whatever you put out there. Writing is a great way to reflect on like, what do I want to say? How do I want to say it? And what's even going on with myself? And again, love your neighbor as you love yourself, and part of that is loving yourself. So it's okay to take care of you. It's okay to prioritize yourself because it's not, I think sometimes people think it's being selfish or it's being hedonistic, like, oh, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. No, it's what do I need to feel fulfilled, to feel like my best self so that I can be my best self to other people. That's actually necessary. And in fact, again, I'll just very quickly say people have a tendency to be like, work first, then my kids, then my partner, if I have a partner, and then myself. When in reality, it should be the other way around. It should be like yourself first because you need to, and not hedonistic, I'm just going to do whatever I want. It's like I'm taking care of me in the best possible way, spiritually, mentally, physically, so that I can be the best partner to my partner if I have a partner. And then together we can be the best parents to our children, and then work just kind of supports all of that. And that's the best priority. And it's necessary to be like you're first, not because you're selfish, but because you want to be there for the people you love the most. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why when you're on the plane and they're giving you their they tell you to put your mask on first and then put the mask on whoever is accompanying you. And I think that has a lot to do with us taking care of ourselves as well. If we don't take care of, we're always saying, and I hear this a lot, okay, that, oh, my mom needs me, or my kids need me, or my spouse needs me. Well, if they need you, why are you not prioritizing yourself first? Okay. Why are you not taking care of you so you'll be at the peak of your health? Okay. And then you can take care of someone else. You can't help anyone if you're down and out, if you're not sleeping well, because you're always, believe it or not, when you're saying yes all the time, and you know that that's not really what you want to do, then you're not happy. Okay. And if you're not happy, that means that everybody around you is in trouble. Okay, because you're going to be snappy, you're going to say the wrong things, just the least little thing that's said to you. And I know I've been there, done that, okay, trying to do the best thing for everybody else. And then even getting to a point where I'm like, oh my God, I hope they don't call me. I don't want to see them. But if I do and they want me to do something, boom, I jump right in. Okay.
then the resentment grows.
Grows. It absolutely it grows. So hey, look, I'm telling you, and Angela's telling you, watch out and be careful that you're taking care of you first and then take care of everything else underneath. Okay, let's not, as they say, let's not flip the switch the other way. Okay, because it's going in the wrong direction. Okay, it has been great having you on the show, Angela. I look forward to having you again. And as I say, we usually don't do a Saturday segment, but this has been great. I'm so happy that I did this because it kind of opened my eyes a little bit to some things that we were talking about on the Friday show. But you can catch Porch Talk live every Friday at 1 p.m. Central in our Facebook group, Porch Talk Live Worldwide. And what we do is we actually share it into other platforms, okay? I look forward to seeing you again on next Friday. And let us say goodbye to Angela and let her know that we really, really appreciate you being here
Wow.
today.
It was such a pleasure. It was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me,
Oh,
and
yes.
look forward to coming back.
Absolutely. Thank you as well. Wow. Let me stop.